We came, we saw, we analyzed some games. A few months ago, we took the initiative to see how well new games would do in the video game market. I predicted what would happen to them. Now, we will follow up on them. We will see how they evolved, the new content, the community, the problems with the games, and if they were addressed or not. Have they improved with time, or have they become worse? Let's find out, but keep in mind, this is not a review of these games, but a look at how they evolved over the past few months. Path of Exile is a viable free-to-play alternative to Diablo 3 after the whole fiasco with the real money auction house. The developers explicitly stated that the game will not be pay to win, and by the looks of things, they're staying true to their word. I thought we would see the game's official release by this time, but it's still in beta. Even then, so many patches were made and a lot of things were fixed or added. The big one that stands out for me are the competition leagues. Basically, you create a new character and you have to complete a goal. For example, be the first player to level 90, be the highest ranking character at the end of the time limit, so these leagues can last between a few hours to a week, and everyone starts fresh. Special items are given away as a reward. I was hoping there would be some new side quests for the earlier acts, but it doesn't turn out to be the case. Just wishful thinking on my part, because the map seems so empty. The community is growing, there's no question about that. The official forums are very active, and the developers are showing strong support for their product. If you're looking to get into an action RPG, Path of Exile is the one to go for. It's a free-to-play game, so you have nothing to lose. Strike Suit Zero focused on fighter-on-fighter action, with the strike suit only being used in a limited fashion. It had tedious gameplay and some issues with the controls. I said the DLC would be pointless because it wouldn't improve the underlying core of the gameplay. Turns out there's two pieces of DLC. One is the Raptor. It's a new fighter craft that you can use for missions, $3. The other is called Heroes of the Fleet. It's a set of 5 missions that explores the backstory of the mysterious Black Fleet, $7. It adds content, but it doesn't change or improve the gameplay. I also said a really good mod would be the game's saving grace. There's a handful of mods in the Steam Workshop, but they're really simple mods. They're great if you already have the game, but it's not a reason to buy it. No Star Wars mod like I was hoping for. Shame. If you didn't like the game a few months ago, none of these will be changing your opinion. Perhaps there's some really good mods in development, but at this time I can't find any. We also have a different version of the game called Strike Suit Infinity. This is basically Strike Suit Zero without the objectives or story. However, it's standalone and it's $7. This may be more appealing than the original game, and if you enjoyed that, you'll probably enjoy this as well. As for its community, there doesn't seem to be much activity. Only a handful of people seem to be playing around with the mod tools, and everyone else was just here to play the game. Strike Suit Zero is only kept alive because of its modding potential. Nothing more to see here until we get some more mods. ANTICHAMBER is a puzzle game that messes with your head. Nothing more, nothing less. I said the game would be dead by this time, and as it turns out, it is. Nothing has changed since then. No new content whatsoever, so the community involvement is going to reflect that. There's no discussion about this game anymore because there's nothing more to discuss. Everything's already been covered, and everyone has already moved on, but it's still a unique experience if you haven't played this game yet. RETROVIRUS is a game with potential. It has the gameplay and all the features a community needs to grow and support itself. I said the game's success would be dependent on its exposure within the first few weeks of release. No one seemed to have heard of the game when it launched, and it doesn't seem like this game has caught on. No DLC, no worthwhile mods have been made, and I don't even see any more mods in development. I said RETROVIRUS would live or die based on how many people are talking, and it seems people are pleading the fifth. The game had a lot of potential. The LAN support, mod support, and dedicated servers were its big community driving features, but this still needs a community behind it. That community does not exist, so knowing all of this, I don't think I could recommend this game anymore. I couldn't do that on its single-player campaign alone. Slender: The Arrival was based on a free game that spread like wildfire. It's riding off the success of the original, and I said it would live up to everyone's expectations. Turns out I was wrong in this analysis, and it's the bad kind of wrong because I was optimistic. The result here is worse than I thought. I was expecting the game to have multiple levels to choose from because of the stage selection option in the main menu. The game gets released, and I find out that this is more of a chapter selection for the story. It's great if you want to experience the story again, but in terms of replayability, it's terrible, and you can throw my entire analysis of the game out the door. None of the content I was hoping for made it in here. There's only 2 actual levels in the game, and that's in the forest with the 8 pages, and the mining facility where you turn on generators. The others are just scripted story sequences. A recent patch adds another chapter, but that's just a remake of the original free game. There is a community here, but they focus on the Slender Man itself, not the game. The only ones who are still playing are the ones who haven't finished it yet. The Tomb Raider reboot disappointed me because it's more of an action game than a game of survival or adventure. I said the DLC would focus on multiplayer content, and sure enough, it did. We have skins, maps, and weapons for sale, but for single player, we have abilities you can buy. In what universe would you buy single player abilities? Pretty sure the stock abilities are more than good enough. All of the DLC is between $1 and $5, but again, it's focusing on multiplayer. I said that people would be playing other multiplayer games because there's already so many options out there. It feels more like a cash grab. Now I can confirm it. It seems the intention for multiplayer was to maximize profits instead of making a good multiplayer game. It's evident by the abundance of cheaters in multiplayer, and this has been a problem since March. They've shown no intention to fix it. They're just posting DLC, and there will always be those people who buy DLC simply because the option is there. The developer is not supporting the community, so that community is going to die. If you don't have Tomb Raider yet, play it for single player. Multiplayer is a lost cause at this point. Retrograde is a rhythm game at its core, cleverly masquerading as a quote-unquote reverse shoot-'em-up. I said the game would die in the long term. Turns out it's actually worse than that. According to this thread on their Steam forums, the game actually sold very poorly. One of the developers gave a talk at the Game Developer Conference about the whole ordeal he went through while making Retrograde. It's worth looking at to see what went wrong here. But for the game itself, what you see is what you get. It's a rhythm game with 10 songs. That's a very low number for something that's supposed to be the core content. There needs to be more songs, and the GDC talk mentions that as well. There should have been at least triple that. It also mentions the tools and the modularity of the engine, so there really should be the ability to add your own songs. Like, let us use Darude Sandstorm. Add the notes to the song, the enemies, projectiles, backgrounds, all that good stuff, and let us play that. I'm really surprised we can't do this, and I think this would have saved the game many times over. Since the game did extremely poorly on the market, it's no surprise that there was no community to begin with. But I stand by what I said. It's worth the $10 if you're interested in the gameplay alone. If you're concerned about the lack of content or longevity of the product, skip the game or wait for the price to drop. Finally, we follow up on BioShock Infinite. I was bored of the original BioShock halfway through, but I was impressed with BioShock Infinite. It was challenging, it did escort missions correctly, and I enjoyed it. I said the DLC would be released by this time, but it's not the one I was hoping for. We have a season pass for $20, which gives you access to 3 pieces of DLC at a discount. You also have Columbia's Finest for $5, and this gives you a few starting items and a couple weapon upgrades. The Season Pass indicates that there's still more DLC to be released in the future, so my prediction is still up in the air. I said the regular price would drop to $40. Oh, how wrong I was, it's still $60. It's the bad kind of wrong. If you are waiting for the price to drop, it's going to be a longer wait. Judging by the amount of discussion still taking place for this game, I'd say there's still a very active community following, and keep in mind, this is a single-player game with a very good story. It shows how thought-provoking it is that people are still talking about it. These are the games I looked at between January and March of 2013. In 3 months' time, we'll follow up on the games between April and June. Thanks for watching!